Good morning, everyone. So Selena and I are here to talk to you about what the expectations for today's assignment are. And she's got little Kelly here who is grumpy because we recently planted catnip in the garden and now she thinks she needs to be outside rolling in it all the time. And so you'll hear her probably make some scowly cat noises, but she can't go out. The plant is too small. She's just beating it into the ground. So she's grumpy with us. Okay, so the purpose of this little tutorial is to talk to you about note-taking. So each day this week we've had a small task working our way towards doing a research project. And so what we're doing is we picked a topic on Monday, and then on Tuesday we thought about why was that an important topic? So we made our own essential question. So we chose whatever our question was that was going to lead or guide us through our research, what was important to us. That can also be considered like your thesis. Like what is the purpose? Why are you writing this research? And then you used your essential question to make a list of keywords or search terms for helping you find more information about your topic. And then you went online or went into an encyclopedia or a book and you looked for some resources that would help you with answering your question. And you wrote down the names of those websites or the books and you made me a reference list. And then yesterday, you took your essential question and you thought about your keywords and your parts of it, and you made some supporting questions that support your essential question. I can't remember mine. We can pull it up, I guess, if we'll go into a screen share in just a minute and look at mine. So those are the things you've done so far. Today, you're going to look at a couple of those resources. I wrote 2 in your assignment, 2 of the resources that you have found. You're going to read through them. Just read through the first time through. And then I want you to think about your questions that you generated, not just your essential question, but those extra supporting questions from yesterday. And you're going to take notes from those 2 resources about what you have found in those 2 resources that answer some of your questions. So I'm going to show you a couple of things here. So first I want to go into a screen share and I want to share what mine looked like yesterday. Okay, so here it is. So here's my supporting your essential question assignment. I'm gonna pop in there and look at what it looks like for you. Let's see. Okay, so here was the assignment from yesterday. So my essential question is, I don't have a mouse because my finger. Let's open this up. Whoa. To get my mouse turned on. Using laptops or tablets as laptops is a little tricky. Okay, here's my mouse. Here's my essential question. Why did the people of Washington State choose the Big Dipper to be their state constellation? I'm going to tell you I made that up. That is not true. But I just wanted a question that I could work with. So these were my supporting questions. What is a constellation? What does the name Big Dipper mean? What is the Big Dipper? Is there a cultural significance or importance of the Big Dipper to Native Americans in Washington? And are there celebrations or events celebrating the Big Dipper? So those were my supporting questions. And so now I'm going to go into a different share and I want to show you what I'm doing with those questions. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me see here. I can go into your today assignment and show you the document. Maybe it'll let me go back. So you're going to use what it looks like our research document that we use in class. But if you don't have a printer at home, then I'll show you how to make one yourself. Okay, so today you'll read through 2 of your resources and begin taking notes on your research questions. You will use the format that we use in class for documenting your research. See the tutorial video? We're watching it you are watching it right now. We're videotaping it right now. Okay, this form that's attached right here is the research documentation form. It prints, it can print on a normal size piece of paper, but we usually print it on large in class. And so here you see we put the topic across the top. And then your name and date, of course, you're at home, so you don't really have to worry about that too much. In class, definitely put your name on your paper. Okay, so here is your research source 1 and 2 and 3, and then if you had more, you would make a second sheet of paper or a wider piece of paper. And then these questions over here, these are not your essential question. This isn't your essential question. These are those supporting questions. So mine would be like right here, what is a constellation? This is, what does the name of the Big Dipper mean? So these are my supporting questions over here on this side. And then what happens is when I'm reading source one, maybe source one has nothing to do with constellations. This one is Native American mythology in Washington State. And so it doesn't tell me what a constellation is. It doesn't tell me what the Big Dipper's name means, but maybe here on this question, remember, was, is there a cultural significance for Native Americans? And right here it would say the Native Americans believed, I'm making this up, remember this is all fake, I mean, no. The Native Americans believed that the Big Dipper would guide them on their spiritual journey to discover the purpose of life. I don't know. So I would write my notes right here. Then when I'm doing my further research later on, I would know that when I was looking at this question, that this resource, see how it's kind of like a finger chart? This resource and this question have information that I can go back if I need more information. So that's how this works. It works kind of like a finger chart. So like this question is answered by this resource. These two questions, maybe I didn't find information. Maybe this book is Studying the Night Sky and an Astronomer's Guide. And so then I could answer the question probably from that resource with what is a constellation. It maybe even tells me the Big Dipper and why it was named that, because it looks like a big ladle or spoon in the sky. And so maybe it has this. And maybe it has some information about myths or folklore, but maybe not. And so then I wouldn't fill in this box. Okay, so now I'm going to show you, let's see, come on and stop share. Now I'm going to show you what it'll look like at home. So I gotta make my space back the way it was before I went into the screen share. Okay, so here is a paper from home. Of course, I have a printer, but it doesn't stay plugged in all the time, so I didn't want to plug it in this morning just for this. So I took a lined piece of paper. It's just one of those like tablets of paper, and I wrote my topic across the top, and then I made 3 columns. For today, you only need to make 2 columns because you're only looking at 2 resources, so you could just make 2 columns. And then tomorrow, when you do more resources, you could do another piece of paper with 2 more columns or 1 more column, however many you have. For today, I want you to do 2 resources. And then, so you need to make 2 columns for resources and 1 column for your questions. Over here, this would be, what is a constellation? This is my first supporting question. Here's my second supporting question. What does the Big Dipper mean, or what does the name mean? And then question 3 was my Native American significance. And then I didn't go all the way down because I wanted to write it in Sharpie so you could see it, but that was taking up a lot of space. Okay, so if resource 1 has information on question 1, the notes go in this box. And if resource 1 has notes for question 2, they go right here. But if resource 1 doesn't have any information about my third question, then I put an X or a cross through it, and there's no notes. Nothing goes in there, it's blank. That way I know that that resource didn't have anything. In fact, maybe you do want to put an X through it so that you know that you've looked, you've checked, and there's nothing there. If you leave it blank, maybe you just didn't finish, right? So if you put an X through it, you'll know I looked and it wasn't there. And so then here I'm reading through resource 2. Resource 2 has nothing to do with this question, so there's no notes there. It's not that I didn't look yet. It definitely doesn't have anything. And then it answers question 2 and answers question 3, so my notes go there. And I wanted just to add this one in because this sometimes happens, and this might happen to you. Here's my resource 3, and I read through resource 3, and because the title of it sounded really promising. The title was, "The Big Dipper is the most important constellation in the sky." So I thought, whoa, that sounds like that would fit my topic really well. So I go through it and I'm reading, and it talks about how constellations are these magical things that no one really knows what they are, and people have believed in them for a long time, but nobody knows why. And people from the desert Southwest look to constellations to answer questions. I don't know, like Magic 8 Ball maybe, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so that's what the article says. And so I'm like, oh, well, it didn't really tell me what a constellation was. And it didn't tell me what the Big Dipper means. And it didn't talk about Native Americans from Washington. It talked about the desert Southwest Native Americans. And so it didn't answer that question either. So this resource, though the title sounded very promising, once I read it, I realized that it wasn't a good resource for my questions. And so sometimes this happens. Sometimes you have a resource that you think is good, and then it turns out it might be good for something else, but not for what you need. So this resource, then I would need to find, then I would need to go look for a better resource to fill in some of those questions. When you're doing research, you never want to have, like this one, like you always want to verify. You don't want to just take one source's word. So like I wouldn't want to take resource one and base my paper off of that, because basically I'm summarizing or paraphrasing someone else's work. You want to have multiple resources. And so like here, I only have one resource for talking about constellations. So I might want to search out another resource that describes constellations. And down here, I only have one resource that talks about Native Americans and constellations, or Native Americans in the Big Dipper. So I would want to find another resource there. So you're going to want to find at least 2 different sources to take notes on for each of your questions. You can have more. Like I could have notes in all 3 of these places. That's great. But you should have at least 2 sources for every information. That way it's not like what I was just telling you when I said all these things. I just made that up. If I wrote a blog post or an article on the internet and said all the things I said, and then you were writing a research paper and quoted me, you would be quoting somebody, but that somebody is full of beans. They don't know what they're talking about. They're making stuff up. So you don't want to rely on one source for all of your information, because that one source might not be accurate or honest. Okay, I hope that helps you get started with your note taking. For today, I want you to organize your workspace, and I want you to pick 2 of your resources, just like this, and then list your questions down the side. I had 5 questions. I only put 3 on here. If I were doing this for real, I would do it on a second piece of paper and do my other questions, just because I like to have lots of space to take notes in. So you can always write notes here, and if you run out of space, write them on the back or on a second piece of paper. But for today, I want you to do resource 1 and resource 2 off of your list. Make sure that you're keeping track of what resource 1 is, like maybe the title would go here, so that you know later when you're citing your sources, when you're saying where you got your information, you'll remember where you got your information. Okay, I hope that helps you. I am so happy with the things I've been seeing. I think some of you have thought of some really creative essential questions and some supporting questions that will spread your research out a little bit so it's not so tight and narrow. And if you have questions about writing questions, if you need help with generating some questions or writing some questions, just send me an email or tell me in the chat and I can help you with that. I hope that this was helpful. Have a great day.